Hello, my name is Dave Kidder, and I'm the president of the Ice House Foundation. The Ice House Foundation was started by my father in 2005, just before he passed away. We were lucky to be able to keep this great collection of cars and old Yankee, what we call stuff. It's things that my father collected, my grandfather's collected, some of it's mine, but it's comprised of 5 buildings. There's some 20 cars, there's a fire engine, some wagons, and just lots of very interesting things. We try and keep it as much as possible a hands-on operation so that kids can come and crawl on the cars and get in them and have fun and enjoy themselves. And we're happy to have them do that. Part of our mission is education. Every year we have the 4th grade group. Kids all come over here and we spend an hour with them talking to them about cars and farming and all kinds of different things. But the Ice House is just a great collection. During the summer, if you're out and about, stop by and we'd love to see you. Now we're going to go and take a little look at what we call the Ford building. We'll do a few snippets on each particular vehicle and do a little quick history lesson. So come on, let's go and take a look at some Fords. This is a 1941 Ford Jeep. Most people walk in here because it's a Ford building, we call it, and they look at this and they said, what's a Jeep doing in the Ford building? Well, in the early part of World War II, actually Ford built Jeeps, and it wasn't until late 1941 that Willys actually started making all the Jeeps, and Ford went on to make tanks and B-24 bombers. So this particular one is a vehicle that's been in the family for a long time. I grew up very much, this is actually what I learned to drive on. This came to us from a fellow up in Springfield, and it was interesting because my father didn't realize it was a Ford Jeep, and a guy had just stopped in at the garage one time and said, geez, Bill, is that a Ford? And he said, I don't know. And he said, I don't know how to tell. And he said, well, let's take a look. And you have to take the rear wheel off, the spare tire off, in order to find out. There's only one spot on the very back that says Ford, and sure enough, it was a Ford Jeep. And the fellow looked at my father. He says, Bill Kidder, he says, you're the luckiest man alive. He said, there's very few of these still left. So that's the story of the Ford Jeep. This particular car is a 1915 Model T. And this is a particularly interesting car because it's kind of a transitional car. In 1915, First World War had started, and unlike other wars in our recent past, Civil War in particular, cannons were no longer used, and they had developed artillery, and artillery shells needed brass for brass casings. As a result, the car manufacturers started to go away from using brass. And on this particular car, you can start to see that the backs of the light is black. There's a lot more painted. So as they needed more and more brass for the shells, it became less and less brass on the cars. And actually it was 1918 when Fords were all no longer any brass on them. So it's kind of an interesting model year, and one of the few actual changes that Ford made along the way. This car is a 1914 Model T, but it's a speedster, and Ford never made a speedster model. And lots of times, actually after the war, Second World War, kids would buy these, or people, whoever, and make hot rods out of them, because you could buy them for 10 or 15 or 20 bucks for a Model T, and you could cut the axle and turn it upside down and lower it and soup it up and do all kinds of things to it. And so they were very popular to do that kind of thing with. This, interestingly enough, is a 1914, and on the 1915 we saw there was actually no brass behind the light itself, and this one still has some brass on top of the original lights. This particular car, I drove to Boston and back for Ford's 75th anniversary And because of the way it's set up, we would go along at 60 miles an hour with it, and it's just a lot of fun. It makes a lot of noise, has lots of whistles, and it's just a real fun car, and people always get a kick out of it. This is a 1931 Model A Ford, and in 1928 Henry finished making the Model T. So they needed something to compete with Chevrolet, so they came out with the Model A, which was a much more stylish car, had a different type of transmission, much easier to drive, had about 20 more horsepower than Model T, so it was just fancier, a little nicer car. This particular car is one that probably gets used as much as any car in our collection for weddings, or on a nice fall Saturday afternoon, go to a football game at Dartmouth or something like that and get a bunch of people. And again, this is it's a wonderful car to drive. Well, thank you very much for being with us today as we've sort of taken a quick tour of some of the Fords here in the Ford building. If you have more questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Stop by during the summer. Our hours are from 9 to 4 on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we'd love to see you. Feel free to bring the kids. It's just a fun place to spend an hour or so. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.